Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rumors of Heresy. My name is Zareth and I've got another battle report for you today. Salamanders versus Votann, the Leagues of Votann. It's an exciting faction for several reasons for me, folks. First off, I've never faced this faction before. I didn't even know it existed until recently. But this is also, they're the Squats. My friend's dad, who was used to love them in 2nd edition, actually played them as Imperial Guard. He collected all the models way back in the day, and it was exciting to get to face real Squats on the table again. So, we're playing Burden of Trust, and my opponent does have a lovely painted army, by the way, folks. Burden of Trust is the first time I've played this one. You can't score as many points in your home objective as you could in other objectives. We're playing Hammer and Anvil, and that's actually, here's a fun fact. This came out in 6th edition, and people hated it the most. They thought it was the dumbest thing. They couldn't believe that Games Workshop would make us do something so asinine. We also have hidden supplies, which means we have an additional objective in the center. So here's the board state here, and there are some objectives, folks. That's where they are. They're kind of hidden behind those big walls on the right and the left, and in the middle there's a bunch of really cool terrain that blocks line of sight and firing lanes. I love lots of terrain on boards, folks. So here's my list, and you can find my actual list in the video description, the actual full, all the different things. But essentially what we have is a lot of proxies and slowly getting things finished painting and everything. I actually have my painting guy working on painting more. There's actually news about what's coming next at the end of this video. If you want to wait, there's a really cool screenshot and everything. So anyways, that's all time-stamped and everything as well, if you just can't possibly wait for more news. And here's what my opponent placed. I don't remember what the characters he had were. I apologize. He rattled off his list and all the things that they could do, and I was pretty overwhelmed because I didn't know what any of them even were. I couldn't believe some of the models. I was like, are these the actual models? He's like, yeah. I think he felt a little insulted, which I wasn't trying to. He was actually a really nice guy and helped me understand a lot of things. Really good player too. I think this is my most skilled opponent that I've faced so far. So he placed those things, and I ended up getting first turn. So you'll see my deployment in a minute. We'll talk about that. I did get some okay secondaries. Cleanse and secure no man's land. And remember, we're focusing on secondaries because that's something that I need to get used to doing. So here, let's talk about the planning for turn 1, shall we, folks? I had no idea what to expect from my opponent here in terms of being able to shoot me, and so I could deploy pretty conservatively. And I figured if I deployed a little too brazenly and then all my stuff died on turn 1 before I got to move, that would probably just end the game right there. Instead, I deployed conservatively, and you can see the firing lines that I was working with, that my opponent would have to get really deep into my deployment zone in order to shoot me with this awesome dwarf gunnery. And so I didn't know if he could get there at all. I didn't know if he could get that far, but I figured even if he did, that would really expose the things that he probably doesn't want to expose, things that could kill my tanks. And you can see everyone else was just hanging out in that fantastic little bunker. So the thing that I didn't expect, for some reason, I didn't expect to get first turn. So the thing we need to do here, folks, is apply pressure and try to control the board. All that board control is extremely important. He is, if we can just keep him off of the objectives, or at least keep him worried about the things we can do to him if he gets on the objectives, that's going to help quite a bit. And so let's just move up. You can see I traced the lines for the terrain in the middle that kind of show all the line of sight blocking terrain there, and there's a lot of it. And it's really interesting. I love tables with lots of terrain, and that's how I've loved it in 6th edition, and I love it now. It adds so many more elements to things. Even if you have a shooty army, it makes it more fun. And so we need to move up and apply pressure and do the best we can, while also not getting completely destroyed. Let's be a little conservative with our epic rush upward, and let's keep our models supported as well. As far as my secondaries went, I'm trying to pay more attention to secondaries, and this is pretty good. I thought we could go up and use our Assault Marines to get a few different objectives. We could have our jump pack intercessors go up into those objectives in the middle and not only claim the objectives, but we could also clean them. So get out your buckets, boys. It's time to clean, then claim those objectives. That's exactly why those squads are there in the first place. So I was pretty excited to get to use them for the double secondary if possible. Okay, this report is going to have a few out-of-sequence things, just so you can follow exactly what happened with the pictures that we have. So, the Infernus Marines rolled I think 4 or something for their advance. And remember, with Salamanders, you get to advance and also shoot, because every weapon is an assault weapon for Salamanders. And he had those 10 Jaegers, which are scouts or infiltrators, something like that. And they were in range of a few of the Infernus. Not all of them. I couldn't see them with all of them, but most of them I could. And the end result were 10 dead Jaegers. I didn't really expect to be able to kill them all, but they're apparently all very lightly armored. They'd only have 1 wound each, etc. So we get a grudge token, and we move right along. I got a first kill, which was cool. And then, let's see, I also moved my jump intercessors upward so that they can clean an objective and claim the objective. You can see those arrows there, and then you can see also I moved my jump intercessors with the Chaplain over to the center base, which I actually think was kind of a mistake on my end. I should have just kept it in the ruin on the far right, but we just I didn't think of it. I kept my Eradicators in the home base as well, with the hopes that they would be able to move out, advance, and just shoot something really important when it was necessary. But right now, I didn't want to stick my neck out and stick their neck out. I also put the Vanguard Veterans on the left with the Chaplain, with the Redeemer supporting it. The Redeemer was not touching the terrain, so that even if he did get some kind of line of sight, I'd probably get cover, and probably it would be very challenging to get line of sight in the first place. My repulsor did kind of poke his head out and had just barely a line of sight to one of his hecatons, which are like the land fortress things, whatever. They're basically the same difficulty to kill as a Land Raider. So I shot a couple shots. I actually got 2 hits with his laser cannon, 2 wounds as well, and then he saved both of the 4-ups that he had. It was very disappointing, but I think he had to use a command point to do that, so I guess that's good. At the end of the day, I ended up getting all of my secondaries. Yes, finally. We got 9, so that's a good start. Good start for us, for the non-short team. My opponent rolled Assassination and Marked for Death. I chose a bunch of just really dumb, annoying things for him to have to destroy. And he, of course, this is a really bad one to get at the start of a turn. And so one of the things I realized, though, I had made a mistake. He had told me about his berserks. I did not realize that they were in the little jeep thing. I'm gonna call them jeeps, even though I know they're sagatars or something. They just look like jeeps to me. And so he had 5 berserks get out, and they were easily within charge distance of the veterans, who couldn't see them. Those berserks don't have good toughness or armor. I mean, good toughness because they're Votann, but they don't have great armor saves. And I think an Overwatch from 11 hand flamers, even if they're only wounding on 5s, would have actually done a huge amount of damage to them. But I didn't have that available because I couldn't see them because I was hiding behind the wall. It was a little bit foolish of me. Also, the Land Raider Redeemer, if he had been able to see them, would have also been able to destroy them. But, again, couldn't see them. When the Berserks charged in, they ended up killing 8 of my Vanguard vets, which is a really high price to pay. They don't have good armor, and so the 3 remaining guys of mine ended up killing all but 1 of the Berserks. So that was nice, at least. That felt good. But just the fact that I had gotten jumped by these guys, they're only like 100 points, and so the Vanguard vet squad is extremely expensive. They definitely, my opponent really saw and took good advantage of a huge flaw in my strategy. So kudos to my opponent. Yeah, what a frustrating thing though, folks. And then, in terms of where his other stuff was, one thing I do want to point out, and I'll talk about it a little bit later as well, but you can see he didn't want to move up very far, because if he has his Pioneers very close to my Infernus, I could Overwatch and just destroy them. And if he moved his Hecaton up, I'd probably be able to jump out and attack him with my Jump Intercessors, or maybe shoot him with my Eradicators, something like that. And I think he was a little bit wary of that. So you can see we have a little bit of board control. He shot a few of my Infernus, which was sad, but at the end of the day, we did okay. Like they did destroy all of my Jump Intercessors on the left objective. They killed 1 of the Jump Intercessors on my right objective and 4 of the Infernus. I did use Armor of Contempt here on them as well. I used it a couple times this game to really good effect. So his total score, he actually just threw away Assassination and Mark for Death, turned into a CP. He didn't score at all this round, which is just fine by me, of course. And moving into turn 2, I got Containment and Defend Stronghold. So let's talk about the plans for this turn specifically, because there's a lot that I can do. Yikes, we barely survived that one. That was a huge mistake with the Vanguard vets on the left. They could have at least just stayed a little farther back and made it not so incredibly easy for the Jaegers to walk up and punch them. That was really the only place the Jaegers could charge someone without just getting overwatched and flamered all the way to death. And so I kind of botched that one, frankly. We'll do better next time, I hope. But it looks like our battlefield is kind of being split. Down the middle, we're doing 2 fronts once again, and I think that this army is suited to that, honestly. I mean, it's nice to have one central conflict, but being able to split is a nice thing to have, a little bit of tactical flexibility. And so we just need to kill a lot this turn. This I sensed, if we couldn't get a lot done, we were going to be in trouble. But right now, he seemed kind of afraid to advance and get very far onto the objectives, and let's take advantage of that. Okay, so let's talk about the right-hand side first. The right-hand side, a lot happened. The Hecaton exploded. How did it explode, you may ask? The Repulsor Executioner got a big chunk of it out. The Jump Pack Intercessors, which you see on the bottom right-hand side, they also shot some plasma shots with their pistols and killed a couple as well. Killed a couple of wounds off of it, I should say. And then the Jump Intercessors, for the 4-man, there was, just 4 of them left. They charged in and destroyed it with mortal wounds on their charge attack, and the explosion killed 2 of those Jump Intercessors. It killed a couple of my Infernus Marines, and it was a total disaster. It didn't hurt the embarked Hearthguard at all. It did hurt 1 of the Pioneers. I was also able to hurt the Pioneers with my Infernus, shooting their flamer things at them. Strength 6 is no joke, folks, especially against things with only a 4+ save. So that exploded. That felt nice. He also did, and I know this is out of sequence, but his rapid ingress CP was used to add his Hearthguard and the character, the 10-man Hearthguard, all deep struck to go take my objective out, which I was happy with, because that's a very back of the board. All the action is happening way farther up the line. Like, this is exactly what I want. I want him to be messing around in the back zone where I can barely score any points anyways. Only 2 points per turn on that rear objective, whereas I can score 4 per objective in the middle. So if he wants to go and kill my poor intercessors hiding out there, I suppose that's fine with me. Now, the Land Raider poked its head around the corner. The Eradicators advanced to get a good view of both of those Jeep things that they had. And the veterans used their hand flamers to kill the remaining berserk, which is nice. That felt good. We were able to shoot with the Land Raider and the Eradicators. We killed both of the Jeeps, which is awesome. And then the Blade Guard went in and charged the 5 warriors that were in one of those Jeeps. So we killed everything on that side, kind of. Not quite, you'll see. But we did get a lot done there. Those Sagittars were not that tough to take out. I was surprised. I mean, they're still tough. They just, I mean, if they're a light-ish transport, I guess it makes sense that Eradicators and a big, scary Land Raider should be able to take them out. You never know. So this is the final board state of the turn. You can see they did still have a Hecaton up there. It had 10 dwarvish warriors, or whatever they're called, and there's still a lot going on. He also snuck his Hearthguard up. When I destroyed his Hecaton, he disembarked them in a way that let them take over that objective, and they wouldn't have been able to take the objective in the middle there if the explosion hadn't also killed 3 of my Infernuses. Quite depressing, but lots happened. We got a lot of kills. That was good. I didn't hardly score anything. In fact, I didn't get containment, so I turned that into CP, and Defend Stronghold waits until your opponent's end of his turn. And that one's not looking great either, actually, since he just rapid ingressed his guys to the back zone. But we're doing okay. We have 15 points at least, so hopefully we'll be okay. My opponent got Containment and Area Denial. Containment, remember, is an action. Area Denial, though, is about the center of the board, so you'll see in a little bit. First off, he moved one of his units of Pioneers, the one that hadn't been hurt yet, and my Infernuses overwatched. There's only 3 of them. I got 13 hits with the Flamers, and I rolled, I believe, 8 wounds with them, so above average, because they're tough 6, my strength is 6, and then he failed 7 of them, and it killed 2 of them and put 1 of them on 3 wounds, so pretty effective. Obviously fairly lucky on my end, but he did. And then he also failed, I believe this one was the one he failed his the Infernus have an ability that whenever they hit a unit with their flamers, and I always forget to do this, someone has to take a battle shock test, and I believe this is the one that he failed. So that was pretty nice. Nice little move by the Infernuses. And then in the middle, his Hearthguard moved up. They decided, we don't want to just kill some Infernuses. Let's go for the whole enchilada. And they did end up killing 8 of my Chaplain and Power Fist unit, but then I managed to kill 4 of his guys as well. The Chaplain and the Power Fist went crazy and deleted them, and that felt nice. It was good. And those jump back Intercessors in the middle, just standing there with 1 wound on them, just hung out. They weren't touched. And you can see on the top there, one of the remaining Pioneer from the injured squad ended up doing the containment move so that he could get some victory points. In the back zone, his Hearthguard went, and they were maybe gonna charge my repulsor there on the top, but then he decided, oh, he can take away my secondary for defending Stronghold, and he would be able to start scoring on my objective. So he deleted my Intercessors, and that was sad. It was very sad. On the top, his Hecaton disembarked his warriors. His pioneers came in from reserves as well to shoot at my Blade Guard, who were out in the open after they had deleted those 5 warriors. And the Adrax gave some pointed advice to his Blade Guard. You can see it on the screen. So, the Hecaton shot its big gun and killed 4 Eradicators. It was tragic. Just tragic. Now it looks like a unit of Terminators, but those are just multi-melta Eradicators. We also had... I used Armor of Contempt on the Blade Guard to keep them as alive as possible, and it worked. It helped. Only 3 Blade Guard were killed, even after the Pioneers and Warriors let loose, and all of the smaller shots from the Hecaton. So only 3 of the Blade Guard went down, which keeps the unit at over half. My opponent did score on his primary objective. He scored 1 or 2 for his home and 4 for holding it with his Hearthguard in the middle, and then he ended up scoring 3 on containment and 2 on area denial because my Infernus were in the middle, they were within 6 inches of the center, which stopped him from getting the full area denial. So he ended up with 5 on the secondary for a total of 11 going into the next turn, and then he announced he needed to go home. And so all right, well, I guess let's pick it up. You know, we talked through it, and he did say that he was pretty sure I'd get the win. I just want to walk you through what I probably would have done. So, I'm actually right now holding all 4 objectives. I didn't take the battle shock tests, but I would have, and I would have had to take them on 3 of those. What I would have done was take 2 of them in a row, hopefully scoring those, and then on the last one, if those other ones failed, I would probably roll, or I'd probably give them the order to hold no matter what, whatever that ability is that costs CP. I think I would have done that, but one way or another, I would be able to potentially score on all 4 objectives going into turn 3, which would be plus 16 for me in theory. And then his big unit would just not have made an impact for a while, maybe on turn 5 or something, I don't know, but they were way in the back, and that was really nice for me. They were putting no pressure on me yet. On the top, I would be able to have the Infernus probably finish off that last Pioneer. Even if they had to charge the guy, I think they would have been okay to do it. The jump pack intercessors, the 2-man, would probably be able to charge in and kill the final 2 Hearthguard before they slaughtered my hapless Chaplain. And, you know, maybe we leave we could probably kill that other Pioneer as well. You can see the Repulsor Executioner could roll up as well and shoot everything that wasn't his huge laser cannons at the Pioneer, which probably would have ended the poor guy. And you can see there's warriors in his back objective. Probably would have just let them be, to be honest, at least for a turn. And then, in theory, the repulsor can advance because that's just how it works. In 10th edition, you can advance, and because everything is an assault weapon, I can still shoot the heavy lasers at the remaining Hecaton on the other side. I was planning that, and that's why he was staged so far up, was because I didn't need too far of a roll on my advance. Maybe if I'd rolled a 1, I don't know. Maybe I would have re-rolled that if that's something you can spend your command points on. But then on the bottom, I don't have a great photo of this, folks. I think in theory, though, that my Land Raider Redeemer plus the 2 remaining Eradicators could finish off the Hecaton, is my guess. And if we could, I mean, that would be a serious blow, obviously. And then the Blade Guards and Infernus, wait, not Infernus, the Blade Guard and remaining jump pack of Vanguard vets, sorry for that typo, guys, could jump in and kill the remaining Pioneers and Warriors that were next to him. So I think I would have been good, guys. At the end of his turn, my guess is he'd have a few things remaining, but I don't think he would have ended up being able to do that much. I really think realistically it would have been a pretty good match for me. I think Adrax would have gone in. Also, if the Hecaton was still alive, he would have gone and pummeled it with his hammer, because he's strength 10, reroll wounds. I think he would have gotten it, folks. So, another win for the Salamanders. Probably more than this 15-11 business, though we didn't roll anything to determine any of that, so I decided it wasn't fair to add more points to my end score that my opponent wouldn't be able to defend against, because who really knows exactly. Maybe he had some really cool thing up his sleeve. I'm not sure. He did admit that he thought that I was going to win. He was pretty sure I had it, and I think he's right, but you guys can see the hypotheticals. But 15-11 is fine. I mean, it's practice anyways. Even if I lose, it doesn't matter that much. So what did we learn? Line of sight matters a lot. Again, as always, every edition, I think line of sight, lines are going to matter. Paying attention to it is always going to be important. And guys, I would be interested in getting feedback on this. Do you guys like these lines and the diagrams? Because they take actually a lot more time to do than you might expect. And so if that's not something interesting, the tactical situation, if that's not interesting, then we don't have to do it. I think it's interesting. This is the kind of thing I would want to be learning about. Anyways, Infernus are really good at board control. We knew this a little bit, but more and more, I think they are friggin' amazing. Because if you can go first, especially, you jump in, just fry some of the scouts and infiltrators that everyone's always got in there. Maybe you don't have range, maybe you don't have line of sight, whatever, but if you can position them in a way that makes your opponent hesitate to do anything and advance and get out of their deployment zone, that's a really nice ability. And especially with a Salamander's force where everything's assault, so they can still advance and ruin something, and then overwatch in their next turn. Like, people can't shoot them, they can't get rid of them until they've gotten in range, and then by then, in theory, the Infernus will have killed something amazing. So I've really enjoyed them, folks. I don't know if I want a second squad yet, but they've been really strong so far, especially using them as board control pieces. And then it was a dream, guys, to face squad. I just... Getting into this game way back in the day, I played it in 3rd edition, back when I was a teenager, and my friends who got into it with me, their dad was the one who was the driving force to get into the game initially, and we could talk more about my stories playing that way later. There's a lot of amusing ones, at least to me, but one of the factors that was so fun was their dad loved the squats. And the squats, if you don't know the background, the squats were a faction in 2nd edition, and then Games Workshop decided to kill the faction. They had the Tyranids go in and just eat the planet, the squats planet, and that was it. No more squats. And so... But he loved the squat models so much, he collected a whole army of them and just played them as Imperial Guard, and he loved them so much. It was a dream to face the squats once again. This many years later, it's just such a treat. My opponent was so fun. He was able to play them so well, and he's done really well in a lot of tournaments, actually. And so... really huge props to my opponent, and it was just the time of my life. Honestly, just such a cool experience. Getting to finally face like a legitimate squat army was just I loved it, man. It's quite the dream. So news, it's not much news, but as you know, if you've been watching these videos, tons of models are proxied right now. My painting guy is frantically working on everything, and the repulsor's almost done, the executioner, and I'm excited because that model is actually, I don't have a model the correct size of it, and I need to be practicing with it. My opponent this time was kind, but he did say, like, dude, this isn't the right size. Like, you need to find something that's the right size. I'm like, okay, good. So hopefully the Eradicators and the Jump Captain will be next, is what my painting guy says, but one way or another. And you can see the Plasma Cannon is just showing because he's painting both of the weapons. So next edition, when Plasma Cannon gets really strong, we can swap that one out. And then something I remind people of at the end of most of these videos, this is all building for an eventual grand tournament in October. October. It's the Fight Club's October Open here in Denver. I'm already signed up for it. I'm excited to play, and that's toward the end of October. But I also want to play other big tournaments. I'll be playing Rogue Trader tournaments here and there. I'll be doing tournament reports, and hopefully we'll start shifting toward more competitive play instead of just like me discovering myself play. But I got to practice my technique here anyways in building videos. So January Open, something I want to play in. That's the same group. They run a GT every 3 months. Amazing. The Rocky Mountain Open, which is run by the Frontline Gaming people, and then the Frontier Open, which is in Cheyenne, Wyoming, which is not that far of a drive for me, probably about 2.5 hours. So I would definitely want to go there. I know the people who run it, in fact, so that'll be fun. I would love to go to all of them, folks. I used to go to Adepticon every year and eat Chicago food, but now it's getting switched to Wisconsin, so we're just supposed to eat cheese there. I don't know. There's also the Nova Open's going on right now. I would love to go there next year. Would love to go to the Las Vegas Open, which I placed really high in the first year that it was out. Would really love to, get out there and play some of these big ones. So, guys, if you like this stuff, please let me know in the comments. It helps a lot. Give a thumbs up. Tell your friends about it. Link people. Hit that subscribe button. Helps the channel a lot. So, anyways, I'm going to call it good. Thank you all so much for watching. And remember that if you didn't hear it from me, it's probably heresy. We'll see you next time, folks.